Hello and welcome back to the Balance Sheet. I'm Billy and this is my co-host Raj. Lot to talk about today. If you're joining us again, thanks for coming back. If you are a new listener, we appreciate you being here. All of you listening, please hit the subscribe button, especially on Spotify and YouTube, so we can continue bringing you great women. Hopefully you feel like great women's wrestling content. Lots to talk about this week. Mariah May, a lot of news with Mariah May, Stephanie Vaquer. My coldest take, hopefully ever, from last week, we'll revisit with her losing the title. If you are looking for Mercedes versus Toni content, we will not be covering them in this episode. We did a standalone episode for them that was posted just before this one, so check that one out. Raj, there's no better place to kick this off than with you and Stephanie Vaquer. I think you are the CEO of her fan club, and I think we were both pretty shocked about what happened on Tuesday. It makes sense now, but I'd love, share with our viewers your initial response to her losing the NXT title to Jacy Jayne.
So we talked about who was going to beat her last week, right? Like that was a topic that we discussed. And then, I thought about it. Like I actually looked at the whole roster and I said, okay, I was thinking something like they set up her because, her and Lola are teaming up at AAA.
Yep.
And I thought, okay, well, maybe this is the Lola helps her, but helps her so she could get a title shot. And down the road, they go from one very heavy ratings generator in Stephanie Vaquer to Lola Vice, who kind of checks the same type of boxes that Stephanie does. And they say, okay, we're just going to go Stephanie to Lola and kind of keep within that theme. So I couldn't figure out who was going to be because I did say, by the way, so speaking of correct predictions, I did say it was going to be Mariah May that was going to be the one to defeat her. Now, I will get to Mariah May, and Mariah May might be her replacement, but it won't be Mariah May who beats her. It is Jacy Jayne. So my initial reaction is I was shocked. It was one of the last few wrestling shocks I've had in a long time.
Yeah.
Like it was a shock because I'm watching this match, and when the AAA women come out and Lola comes out, I'm thinking, okay, this is where Fallon Henley tries to help Jacy Jayne, but screws up. And then Stephanie's going to win. And, we're going to move on. And, Stephanie's going to defend against somebody else and blah, blah, blah. And when Fallon Henley actually hit Stephanie, I'm like, oh my God, is she going to lose? And she lost. And I was shocked. I was really not excited about it because I got to be honest, I only really watch NXT for the women. And I really look forward to seeing Stephanie on NXT. I think the presentation they give her and the crowd reaction and how she's presented on NXT is great. But then immediately, as soon as she lost, Mariah May posted a tweet with her like this. And then somebody reported, I think his name is Corey Hayes, that she's going to Raw. And I'm thinking, oh, okay, but she's going to go to Raw after AAA. She's going to go to Raw in a month. No, she literally is going to Raw Monday night. And she's in the Money in the Bank qualifying match. So they literally are not going to give anybody else a chance to beat Stephanie in NXT. They're like, you know what? We beat her twice. That's it. Sorry about that, my earpiece. And yeah, she lost 2 matches in NXT. One person is no longer with the company in Shotzi, so they'll erase that match like it never existed. And the other match is Jacy, and they protected her very well. It took 3 women to beat her. So it's a loss, but it's not like a loss that made Jacy Jayne into this superstar. I mean, there are people who are like, oh, like I think Natty had an interview said, oh, Stephanie absolutely made Jacy Jayne. And I'm like, how? It took 3 women to beat her.
Yeah.
And so you have this thing, this kind of theory. It's not even a theory, it's an opinion, which is you believe that who the person loses the belt to and how they lose it is as important to their title reign as how they win it, how they
Yep.
defend it, and how long they keep it. So the valedictorian answer to this is the Mercedes title run of 2015. She
Yep.
beats the four horsewomen in a four-way. She has some really good title defenses, and she
Yep.
loses it to Bayley in an all-time classic. Like
Right.
the way Io lost it to Bayley at WrestleMania, right?
Yep.
Like Io had a good run, but how she lost it almost put that run to the next level.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No. So before I hand it to you, I think if we're being honest, and yes, I am the president, I am the CEO, I am the COO, the CFO, and a client of the Stephanie Vaquer fan club. But if I'm being objective and honest here, I don't think losing the belt that way did any real favors for Jacy Jayne, in my opinion. So I'll hand it
Yeah.
over to you.
Yeah. No. I've believed this since I was a kid watching wrestling, and it's just like a torch, right? It's like you have this great title reign, and the fire is burning bright, and then if by the time if you hold the torch too long and it becomes a smaller fire and the fire is going out, and then you light someone else's torch, and it's just like this smoldering thing instead of a flame itself, you've weakened the title. That's the way I see it. I don't mean like weaken the title, like it's you can't fix it. I'm just saying in that moment the title is not thriving as much as it was. Um, Bayley was the most over woman in the world. She beat Sasha Banks, right? That's what you're going for, and that is a chair. It's not even the cherry on top. That is executing a great title reign. I think Stephanie had a really good title reign. Um, this hurts where it will land all time. And it has nothing to do with JC, by the way. If they were going to do this, I feel like this was not an organized thought. Shawn Michaels generally tells pretty good succession stories with all of his titles. Um, some people feel like she should have lost to Jordan Grace, and then you find out Jordan Grace is going to probably SmackDown, so that makes sense. So if that's the case, why did we not get a several week feud with JC slapping Stephanie in the back like she did, but weeks ago, and them kind of terrorizing Stephanie and building towards even a 2 or 3 week build? I think would have done JC a lot more favors in this, you know, the fire remaining as bright on this title. A shock and all that is good every once in a while, but I just don't think that they put the roots down far enough in this one. For me personally, what I found is JC is extremely popular in the back. I think the support for her among NXT and WWE women was tremendous with her winning, and I think that this was them saying, okay, well, if Stephanie's going to lose the belt, who's the kind of locker room leader, NXT original ish feeling person that can kind of recalibrate the division? So I'm fine with it. It's not to say JC won't have a decent little run. It all depends on what they do with it. Um, I just feel like it kind of takes what could have been an all-time Stephanie run, and it just ends a little haphazardly. It just didn't. I feel like it should have ended on the Battleground pay-per-view, and JC should have had that moment on Battleground. I don't remember looking at the ratings, but there weren't as many people watching as would have seen it happen on Battleground. So I just would have wanted a better moment for the title change. All that being said, we will start to cover JC and her title reign more in depth. We haven't talked about JC too much on this program, but she'll definitely get more shine. I'm going to kick it back to you. Stephanie is in a triple threat match to qualify for Money in the Bank on Monday. If you're listening on Spotify, you'll hear this before the match happens. If you're watching on YouTube, the match will have already happened. But what do you expect from that match?
So she's fighting Liv Morgan and Ivy Nile.
Yeah.
I expect Ivy Nile to take the pin.
Oh, yeah.
I expect Liv Morgan to almost have the match won and Roxanne try to help her, and
Yep.
Roxanne accidentally costs her the match.
Kind of again. Yeah.
Again, but and I think they're clearly planting seeds for a Roxanne, Finn, Dom, Liv kind of feud. It's like I can see this being the one. I can see Dom and Liv breaking away from Judgment Day and being kind of the good, the Bonnie and Clyde, but the good version of them. Back to the match. I mean, Stephanie's not going to lose her debut match on Raw. There's just no way. And Julia beat Charlotte and the U.S. champion. So I don't see why it's such a stretch because people online are like, oh my God, Liv's going to lose. Yes, Liv is going to lose because, and I think Liv Morgan is a very important star to WWE. I think they are always going to keep her in the top mix. She's always going to be one of the top women. But I don't think it's exaggeration to say Stephanie is the future. Stephanie is the future of the women's division. And there's multiple reasons why. I mean, first and foremost, she is a Latina. She is a Hispanic woman. That is a market that WWE covets. They bought a company that, let's be honest here, they're probably going to lose money on just to get into the Mexico marketplace. Stephanie was very big at CMLL. She was huge over there. They want that. They want that revenue that CMLL gets. They get 8,000 fans a week every week. So Stephanie's going to not only open up Mexico for them, but she's going to open up Latin America for them. And Stephanie, as I chronicled on this podcast about a month ago, she's a huge draw on Netflix.
Yeah.
Her minutes are huge. So I knew she was going to go to Raw whenever she went to the main roster. And I knew she was going to go for Netflix. So I think Stephanie's going to win Money in the Bank. She's not going to win the match. I don't think she's going to win Money in the Bank. I think there's an obvious winner to Money in the Bank, and we're going to talk about that segment here in a sec. But I think Stephanie's going to be in Money in the Bank, and I think they're going to protect her where she doesn't necessarily get like almost the briefcase and falls off. Because remember, Stephanie is going to technically have 2 matches that night. She's going to wrestle a tag match, and then she's going to go to another arena in LA and wrestle in Money in the Bank. And I think this is to put Stephanie on the big stage. This is just, hey, she's our new one. She's arriving.
She's ready.
She's ready. Look, Stephanie has to win the match. Liv should not win. Liv has already won Money in the Bank. There is no point to Liv winning again just to go into the match and lose. But Liv shouldn't take the pin. That's what Ivy Nile's for. That there's a reason Ivy's in the match.
Right. For Liv fans listening, I think the path is very clear. She lost to Kyrie last week, with Roxanne and Raquel kind of being a distraction. I agree with you that Roxanne's going to kind of distract again. They're clearly lining up Roxanne as the underhanded person in this whole thing. And you hear that pop she got when she came back. I think the crowd is naturally ready to cheer for Liv and Dom, and I think they'd be stupid not to lean into it. Something that's a little bit, I talked about this last week in regard to Nia Jax. WWE's got to work on getting their alignment right. They've got way too many people who do crappy things on the show that people cheer for, and your white meat baby faces who get little to no reaction. And they've got to recalibrate. I'm not picking on the Rhea, and Rhea was done no favors with the way that was written. But you had Bianca getting booed, even though Rhea was the one in writing who was kind of doing the heelish, stuff. Now Seth and his whole deal is too cool. It's not get they really got to look at who they can get to get booed. Your job is to get booed because I want people to cheer for that person. Liv and Dom are going to get cheered, so they need to align them to get cheered. Dom, I'm not worried about. Liv is a fantastic baby face. And I think she will be kind of the natural charismatic baby face, whereas Stephanie is going to be that badass baby face, right? So yeah,
well, they already have Rhea as a badass baby face. They have Io as kind of a badass champion baby face. They have
it kind of goes to what we've been talking about. And if Mariah May shows up sometime soon, people think I'm being negative. It's so stacked at the top. So here's the positive version of it. They better be ready to give the women more TV time. Because if they don't, there's going to be some very popular women who draw and who people buy tickets to go see that are not going to be on TV. Io, Rhea, Stephanie, Liv, Roxanne, Kyrie, and I'm just naming Raw.
Okay, can I be honest here? Is Roxanne and Kyrie really in that category? Like, do people buy tickets in the main roster to see? Like, I'm being honest here. Like, I think Roxanne is in a really good place because she's in a story, and being in a story is important in WWE because if you're not in a story, you're cooked, or at least in a feud.
So I hear what you're saying, and by the way, Lyra and Becky as well. By the way, to add to that same old group. I'm not talking about Roxanne next week. I'm talking about the way WWE books titles for the last 3-4 years. Okay, so Io's going to get her run. Who's she going to drop the belt to? You could make a big argument that it's going to be Stephanie, right? Well, then Stephanie's going to have the belt for a while. And let's say Stephanie has the belt 6 to 9 months. Then someone backstage is going to be like, man, it's been a really long time since Rhea has held the title. It's been a really long time since Bianca's held a title.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a really long time since Liv has held a title. And it's what we talked about weeks ago. At what point Roxanne, the human being who fancies herself the prodigy and is one of the best young wrestlers of all time.
Mm-hmm. She is.
She's better at her age than almost anyone ever at that age.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm sure she wants to be world champion one day, right? So at some point, they have to give TV time to the world title picture, which, by the way, they're already starting to fail at doing.
Yeah.
They're not good at building. They can't build a third thing at the same time for the life of them, it feels like, right? So they put some time and effort into the IC title with Lyra and Becky. That's great. You got the Roxanne Liv thing brewing. And Io's been MIA for weeks now. Hasn't wrestled.
She hasn't wrestled. She's been on TV, but she hasn't wrestled. Yeah.
I mean, hasn't meaningfully been on TV, though, right? She was Kyrie's cheerleader last week. That's not the role for the women's champion. And if she was just missing TV to wrestle on PLEs, it'd be fine. But she doesn't have a match at Money in the Bank, correct?
No, unless they fix it Monday. But
right.
I actually think you are going to get a match. I'm going to break news here. Go ahead.
Okay. They have to find a way to get 3 or 4 women's storylines and segments going every week all the time if they're going to continue signing big names and bringing them up to the main roster. And I think it's great. I hope they do it. They haven't done a good job of doing it in the past. Before I kick it back to you, even for what she normally does, Rhea's been a little bit muted over the last month or so. And it's like they just can't do a third thing. It's like they could do 2 things okay, and they can't ever build on that.
Yeah, I think you're going to get the dumb story on Monday, which is I think Io and Kyrie are going to go for the tag belts on Money in the Bank. And I think they're going to fight Liv and Raquel. And I don't know if it's going to be some combination of Liv doesn't make money in the bank and they see Kyrie backstage and they try to jump her. I just feel like Liv and Raquel have to lose those. Now, I do not think Io and Kyrie should be the two to beat Liv and Raquel. So I'm not advocating for that at all. I don't even like suggesting this match, but there's elements that I'm seeing that there's going to be some tag match with those four women. So back to what you're saying. Yeah, it's a very top heavy. They don't have enough women jobbers. That's the problem. Like they don't have enough women who can just take pins because Stephanie, Io, Rhea, Liv have to be protected to some degree. Then Roxanne is right there. And then there's Becky. And then there's Lyra.
Has to be protected.
Right,
Lyra's she's a champ, there. Yeah.
Lyra's a champ. And then there's Becky. So that's 8 women right there.
Bayley's on Raw, technically.
Bayley's on Raw, technically. Yeah, but I mean, I don't know if Bayley being protected is a priority, to be quite honest. So yeah, you're a very top heavy roster, but back to Stephanie on Raw, to me, and this will not happen. There's no way. Maybe it will, and I could be surprised. Stephanie versus Io should be the main event, not the main event, but should be the main women's match from Raw next year. To me, that's the direction I would go. I would let Stephanie win the Royal Rumble or Elimination Chamber, whichever one fancies their both. And she says to Io, like she even comes out Monday night and says, you know what, Io, you and I fought. We didn't get to see who was the best. I want you again for the title. Now, it feels like they're going to do that match at Evolution. That's what it feels like. And I could totally see Io losing the belt to Stephanie, quite honestly. I could see it.
I don't see Io having the belt till WrestleMania next year. I personally don't. So
I mean, it would be surprising if they did it, but then again, in January, if I had told you, well, she's going to beat Rhea clean, and then she's going to beat Bianca clean at WrestleMania, nobody would have believed me.
Yeah, no, I don't think they're going to hold off that long on putting the belt on Stephanie if she gets, let's say the Netflix numbers from NXT translate to Raw, and pretty famously now people are starting to report Raw has a ratings, I don't know if we want to call it an issue, but they're having trouble regrowing any ratings. It's kind of just edging its way down. I don't know what number they expected. I don't know what number NXT expected. I'm not here to say it's a bad number. But what we do know is the number gets smaller pretty much every week. And if Stephanie being on the show makes that number get bigger, they're going to put the belt on her. There's no reason not to.
Yeah, I mean, they should. I mean, they should put the belt on her. I don't disagree with that. That's why I think that a slow burn story to WrestleMania would be the way to do it. But because you can do you can have Stephanie and Io almost stay apart from each other. And because again, going back to the Netflix minutes that I've gotten, Io does very well on Netflix too. Now I don't know if she does Stephanie well. I haven't asked, but I will for next week. But Io does very well. And Io was hotter than Bianca and Rhea during their feud. She was the hottest one of the three. So I don't know. I think Stephanie has to get the belt, and I want her to get the belt, and I want her to beat Io. Actually, that will be acceptable to me. That will be a good outcome. Like, okay, Io keeps the belt, loses Stephanie, I'd be happy. But they are very top heavy, and I like the fact that Roxanne is in a story without the title. I think that's good because that means that we're going to get like a non-title women's feud. I think Becky and Lyra having their feud is good. Clearly, they're setting up for Bayley's return, and Bayley's going to cost Becky, in my opinion. We'll get to the IC title prediction here in a sec, but I think Bayley's going to cost Becky the title, and Becky and Bayley are going to set up a feud for Evolution as well. So now you have two non-title women's feuds on Raw, which is good. And
Yeah.
honestly, why can't Stephanie beat Lyra for the US title?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. I mean that could be a thing as well. Again, it just depends on how hard they want to push her. And I'm not necessarily saying Stephanie's going to get the. I I would be surprised, and I know we were surprised in January, but I just don't see Io holding the belt for another year. I would be fine with being wrong. I think Io is as great of a representation for your top belt as you can get in wrestling, right? So I get it. Um, I want to see her wrestling on PLEs if that's the case, and not for the dang tag titles. Uh,
yeah, they have done a poor job of following up on her. Well, okay. I didn't mind the teaming with Rhea thing because I feel like that's like the mega powers. Like you can't really go wrong with a Rhea Io. Like Rhea and Io had a lot of internet buzz with their stuff with each
yeah.
other. So I can't say that was a disappointment. Io popped a nice rating on NXT when she teamed with Grace. So that was no, who did she team with on NXT?
Uh, yeah, it was Jordan Grace, wasn't it?
No, that was Stephanie teamed with Grace. It was Io. She came to NXT. She faced Roxanne and Julia, but who did she team with? It wasn't Stephanie. That was what the big problem was. Was it Grace?
I think it had to have been.
Maybe. The 4.5 star match.
I think so.
Okay.
Um,
The, the,
so
the
we're kind of talking round and round on how they're going to book this, and I get it. Whenever they've got women's Money in the Bank, and again, all both major wrestling companies when they have same complaint for AEW fans on the other side. They get so focused on the Owen Hart that they kind of forget to do a bunch of other stuff. But to AEW's credit, it's not like Tony wasn't wrestling during the Owen Hart, right? They've
no, yeah.
basically sidelined EO to get
And
the Money in the
Tiffany.
Bank thing going, and Tiffany, and it's not good for either title nor the competitiveness of the division. And um, we're going to talk about Money in the Bank. We'll have predictions at the end. We're going to talk about SmackDown. I want to keep pulling the thread on this top heaviness, which is only going to continue to get more top heavy because, spoiler alert for those of you who aren't on Twitter very much, Mariah May has been removed from the AEW active roster page, and it has been reported pretty thoroughly that she has signed with WWE. Now, her agents came out like a day later and said nothing's official. She still works for AEW. That just means she works for AEW until either today, June 1st, or at worst, July 1st, and she's got like another 30 days to go. But if her contract expired, which it seems like it did, she wouldn't even have a no compete. WWE bound for Mariah May, we'll call that 99%. The real up in the air thing, I know you had the thought about her tweeting when Stephanie lost the title. It's also been reported she may go straight to the main roster. So that part is a coin flip. We don't know the answer to that. The person who reported she was going to the main roster said she would go directly into a feud with a major name. So who knows? But let's speculate. What do you think's going to happen?
I could see her. I could see her main roster feud being with one of two women. I can see it being with Julia. I could see it being with Julia after Julia wins the US title over Zelina. Or I could see it honestly being with Io. I could see her because one of the things WWE does do is they bring somebody in hot and they lose that first initial feud and then they put the rocket back on them.
Mm-hmm.
Because remember, when they brought Julia in, everybody thought, oh, Roxanne was going to lose the title. And she didn't. She beat her.
Yeah.
And then Julia won the title. So I have yet to figure out where to even put Mariah May in WWE, but I knew she was going to WWE. Like, I never wavered from that. Everybody else, oh, is Rue. You think, no, she's going to WWE. I knew she was going to WWE. The minute she got on AEW TV, in my opinion, her mind was, how do I get hot enough to get to WWE? Because that's always been her goal. And the reason I know this is, as somebody who's been on X a long time, I have followed Mariah May long before she was Mariah May, because I honestly once saw a picture of her dressed like Trish Stratus. Being such a big Trish Stratus fan, I'm like, oh, wow, this woman looks just like Trish. Let me follow her. And that was it. And then I
She was
realized,
a
like,
shop girl, yeah.
yeah, she was shop girl. Then I was like, oh, wow, she's a huge wrestling fan. She's learning how to wrestle, all that stuff. But she never tweeted about AEW. She never tweeted about other promotions. She always just tweeted about WWE. So I just figured, okay, eventually she's going to get there. And she's so young. Okay, so she's coming. She's off the AEW roster. By the way, she's represented by Paradigm, who represents multiple WWE talents. So them telling us that she doesn't work for AEW, I believe it like writing it in water. Let's talk about Mariah May. I would not bring her to the main roster personally. I would put her on NXT. I think NXT needs a top women's star to get the ratings to stabilize. I'm probably going to be wrong about this one, but I don't think bringing her on NXT is such a bad thing, because at least it gives her an opportunity to acclimate to WWE. It gives her an opportunity to get situated in the new company, because they tape out of one location. She doesn't have to do the road stuff yet. And I think she can, she can give a lot of the women a rub in NXT that need it, quite honestly. And that's what I would do with her. But okay, let's play your report out, the report you read. She's going to the main roster. Again, it goes back to what you have said for weeks here. I don't even know where to put her, because you're upsetting something, but then maybe you have to. Maybe, look, I'll put it up there. Maybe she's the one who beats Io, who then loses to Stephanie. I don't know. Like, to me, Mariah May, if what is being reported is correct, that they gave her a substantial offer and they're going to bring her to the main roster, she's going to have to be in a big money feud right away. Now, you can make the case it should be Tiffany. Why can't it be Tiffany? Why can't she have a match with Tiffany and be the cause of Tiffany losing the belt to the Money in the Bank winner? I don't know. Why can't Mariah May be in Money in the Bank? They replaced one of the women in the match with an injury, and she is the mystery. I don't know. Now,
I don't know that they would do it, but I mean, the story's there for it to be Stephanie, that she takes like a harsh beating after winning the AAA match, and someone does some underhanded to her. But okay, so I'm going to make a prediction based on the tea leaves and what has been reported and what we know of Mariah May. I don't think she wants to work in NXT. I don't think there's no argument that with Stephanie and Julia, there was an argument that getting them acclimated to working the way WWE does TV was a good reason to have them down there. Mariah's been on American wrestling television for 2 years.
mm-hmm.
I would actually so it's being reported that Tony Khan did offer her more money to stay in AEW, which we knew he would have to do, and it probably wouldn't work. We said that 9 months ago. We said Tony should be showing her multiple briefcases, and it probably still won't be good enough. Whether that's true or not, we know that AEW certainly wanted her back. I would, if she shows up on main roster, I would probably bet that her thing she negotiated was she wants to go directly to WWE. I could see that being something that's important to her. That she wants to go directly to the main roster. I think if that's something that they agreed to, though, it is an imperfect fit at the moment. And again, someone will be left out in the cold and have a story that was started, stopped, and or TV time. The amount of TV time that they currently give the women, even if it increases by 20%, they are going to have people not on TV as much as we all want to see them. By bringing Jordan up, Julia up, Roxanne's a new call up, Stephanie and Mariah. I mean, there's only, yeah, it's going to get rough out there.
It is. I don't know where to put Mariah May on the main roster. I don't. Like, that's why I look, when Stephanie got signed and Julia got signed, they had the option of going right to the main roster. Both of them did. They could have easily just said, I want to go to the main roster, and they would have gotten there. But both, because they're best friends, wanted to go to NXT together, do their thing, etc. Cool. You're right. Mariah May has been not only on TV for the last 2 years, she has been a central character on the rival promotion for 2 years.
Right.
She has been in the biggest women's storyline of all time. So I'm gonna take a hot take turn here on Mariah May. 9 months ago, we said Toni should show her multiple briefcases. Let me ask you a question, honestly. What was left for Mariah May to do in AEW? What was left for her to do?
Wrestle Mercedes Moné is one of her dream matches.
But like, okay, I know. Is Mercedes Moné wrestling her as important as going to WWE?
Well, I don't mean just wrestling her in one match. I would presume the two of them could put on an all-time great feud as well. I mean, if that's the case, then what is there left for Charlotte Flair to do in WWE? What is there left for Alexa Bliss to do in WWE?
I think, well, okay. I don't disagree with that either, by the way, because I have always advocated that if I were in Charlotte's shoes, I would go to WWE and ask for my release and go to AEW. Like, if I were Charlotte, that's what I would do. But that's what I have been saying. What I'm saying is, like, they did such an amazing job. And this is, Tony Khan, this is RJ City, this is, I guess, Jen Pepper, whoever was involved in the Mariah May Toni Storm story, whoever put that whole thing together. They did such an amazing job that when Mariah and Toni ended, I remember watching that match because I did order the pay-per-view, and I said, what's there left for Mariah to do? Like, what is there left for her to do? Because remember, one of the criticisms we had of Mariah May as champion was that all the stuff between her taking a break from Toni didn't feel big enough. Right?
No,
like the Thunder Roses, like, we were like, okay, yeah, she's champion, but it feels like they're keeping her on ice to bring Toni back, right? So
I looked at it. She beat Willow, which sounds great, right? You're like, oh, Willow, Mariah May. It was a 10-minute match. You know what I mean?
Right. So my thing is, they did such an amazing job with Mariah May that it's almost like they did too good a job. They gave her everything, and then when it ended, she might have woke up that night in the hotel or the next morning and be like, there's nothing left for me to do here. Like, what is there left for me to do? And I get the wrestling Mercedes is this dream thing, and I'm not saying it isn't, but okay, on one hand, Mariah May could wrestle Mercedes or have a feud with Mercedes. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. But I can go to this other company and I can wrestle Stephanie, Rhea, Io, Liv, Tiffany, Charlotte, Becky.
If she wrestles Mercedes or has a program with Mercedes, it will be the top program in the company again.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a chance she never has the top program in WWE for women. There's a solid chance that never happens. Solid chance. Because in AEW, she is no less than a top 3 woman as far as what maybe when Willow truly ascends and goes on a title run, she could kick Mariah to 4th. She'd be no worse than 4th, right? Do you think she'll crack the top 5 in WWE? I'm not saying she shouldn't bet on herself, and I'm not saying she shouldn't think that she can crack the top 3 or 5 in WWE. She's amazing. What I'm saying though is, I think we both have Rhea cemented at 1, and the only
Yeah,
person who might take a shot at that is, Stephanie runs some good numbers. We'll see what happens. But Rhea is 1.
Rhea's one. That is
Okay.
true.
So you have Io, you have Stephanie, you have Bianca.
Becky.
That's a losing bet. Say someone jump them, in my opinion.
Okay,
Tiffany as well,
Tiffany.
probably. Yeah.
Yeah, I,
So
I
that's 5.
honestly, I could make a real strong case that Tiffany is. If you were to look at everything, Tiffany, you can make a case she's number 2. Okay, I'm going to answer the question. Yes, yes, I am willing to bet. I'm almost 100% sure she will crack the top 5, and I'll tell you why. Ego. She's not Aleister Black. She's not Andrade. She's not Ricky Saint. Well, I will see what happens with Ricky Saints. Mariah May is a prominent AEW star. She was seen as a main event level AEW woman, right?
Yeah.
If for nothing else, she'll crack the top 5, whether she deserves to even get there or not with how they present her, it will be because they want to show everybody, hey, AEW free agents, come over here. The grass is greener. Watch what we do with your talent. Do do I think it's going to happen instantaneously? No, I don't. But I do think there's a chance that she'll get into that upper tier mix. Now, here's where. Okay, so I'm going to give you some names, and I want you to tell me at their time wrestling, where were they in the top 5? Yes or no? Okay. Trish
Yeah.
Stratus,
Yes.
Charlotte Flair.
Are you talking about like the way that they were booked?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, of course. Charlotte Flair was 1 for way too long.
Alexa Bliss.
Yes.
Okay. Tiffany Stratton,
Yes.
Mariah May. Like she fits that pattern, right? Like this company has a history, whether we like it or not, of a very attractive blonde woman gets into the top mix. I just named you 4 women. They've all at one time or another been the top person. So, yes, I think because she's coming from AEW and because
Uh-huh.
of how she looks and how she can talk on a microphone, I do think she's going to get in the top mix. Now, you have a really good point, which is, will she ever be the program? Because look, if we're looking at the horizon, Bianca Rhea, whenever it happens, will be the top program, right?
Right.
Because this is the Triple H kind of. I know everybody thinks, oh, Triple H doesn't, book Bianca as well as he should, but Bianca gets entrances that are expensive, and she opens Smack. Like, I'm not worried about Bianca. I have never worried about Bianca. She's on a Minute Maid juice box, for God's sakes. Like, she's fine. But back to Tiffany. I think Tiffany will crack it, but I do agree with you that she might never be the program. Like, she'll be one of the programs, but she won't be the program. That I
Right.
agree with.
So your point about their prototype, um, 3 of those women were booked by someone who will never be around again,
Mm-hmm.
not by the person who's currently in charge.
What about Tiffany?
I said 3.
Yeah, yeah,
Tiffany's the yeah. So here's the thing, though. My argument against where Mariah May fits. Tiffany's younger than she is,
yeah. She is. Wow, that's crazy.
and Liv Morgan is still here, and Liv
Oh,
ain't
I
going
forgot
anywhere
about Liv.
anytime soon.
Oh my God, I forgot about Liv Morgan.
But let me keep pulling the thread. It don't matter that Rhea's not blonde; she's number 1.
Hey, she is. Mhm.
It doesn't matter that Bianca and Stephanie are not blonde; they're not getting out of the top 5.
No,
It doesn't matter that Io's not blonde; she's not coming out of the top
because
5
they want
anytime soon.
Japan. They want the Japan market.
So
Yeah.
there's only room for 1 blonde in the top 5. if you're going by the looks, by the prototype. You're
Yeah.
telling me that they're going to tell Tiffany and Liv that they're behind Mariah May just because they want to stick it to AEW. They may do that, but go back 4 episodes. That's where I get to, where a Liv Morgan or a Roxanne or somebody sits around the next time their contract is up and is like, dude, I haven't been in a top 1 or 2 or 3 program. I want more than this. I haven't wrestled a 15-minute match on pay-per-view in 3 years. I want more than this.
Uh, you know what? The Roxanne one that you said, when Roxanne first, we thought Roxanne was going to the main roster after her Rumble performance, and it took a while, but okay, she's here. And
Yeah.
even from that point, you were afraid of how Roxanne would be presented on the main roster because you were like, I'm not sold that Triple H is going to do the right thing by her.
Right.
And you've been proven correct up to the point of her getting into the Judgment Day story. I was with you, but the fact that they think enough of Roxanne to be the anti to Liv being the baby face, I'm like, okay, this is okay. I'm happy.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I feel like Mariah May and Tiffany are going to be compared forever. Similar age, similar prototypes.
Yeah.
Tiffany
So,
is homegrown, right? Like Tiffany is homegrown.
yeah. So they may get lucky with Liv because WWE, what they absolutely do better than AEW, right? They provide opportunities outside of the ring, and Liv got the movie role. And maybe if they support Liv on that better than they supported other people in the past, we'll just say um, that will she'll want to be in and out, right, and not worry so much about her spot, just as long as she's treated well while she's there. Here's my thing. I don't want to keep throwing names like Roxanne and Liv out there. The final point I'll make on it for this episode is this. The money in AEW is great for Mercedes, but we had a conversation in the group chat yesterday or a couple days ago. You rewatch that Jamie Hayter match, and she just gets to hoop, man.
Mm-hmm.
Mercedes gets to hoop. She gets to know that on every PLE, she's gonna have a match if she wants one. And okay, every once in a while she has a Julia match. I think the Julia match was 14 minutes, which is still longer than most of her matches ever as Sasha Banks. Honestly, look it up. 14 minutes is a very long time for a women's match on a PLE. I think Bianca Sasha's how long? 15 minutes?
Yeah,
Yeah,
right at 15.
So she is happy because she gets to hoop, and you said she's an artist and she gets to show her art to the world, and the more time she
Mm-hmm.
has, the more her art shines. There will be a woman or 2 or 3 in WWE over the next year or 2 who, because of how top heavy the card is, they're going to go, I haven't wrestled a 15-minute match in a meaningful spot in 3 years. I want to do that. Where can I do that?
3 years ago. Okay, so when did Damage Control form? 2022?
Summer 2022, yeah.
Okay. That summer, before I knew EO was coming back, I thought EO 100% was gone. I thought she was gone to AEW. I thought she was gone because
Or back home to Japan.
Yeah, I just thought it was going to be one of those deals where she does Stardom and AEW, like she does both.
Right.
Because the one thing EO doesn't hide behind it is she likes her money. So I just thought EO was going to be the next version of Mercedes, where it's like, hey, I want 15 to 20 minutes in meaningful matches. I want to be in these environments where I can tell my story in the ring, not on a microphone, and I'm gonna get the type of matches that set the world on fire. And I really thought EO was going to be the person after Mercedes. She isn't, and I don't think he's going anywhere ever now. But Roxanne is somebody I feel like is in the lineage of a Mercedes, where they get the joy and passion of wrestling in the ring and telling these stories and having these type of matches, like the Roxanne was having in NXT. Quite honestly, like she was on a hell of a run over there. Like she was doing some amazing work. So I think there is going to be a time and a place for some of these women sit back in catering or in a group chat or something, and they'll be like, hey, like Mercedes is getting 20 minutes every single pay-per-view, and I haven't gotten 20 minutes of total ring time in 6 months. Like it's gonna happen, right? Like who the person is, we don't know. But Roxanne is a good candidate. Because, and here's the difference: Roxanne and Mercedes are professional wrestlers who love the fame and the money that comes with it, but they're professional wrestlers. Like they'll wrestle in front of 12 people, they'll wrestle in front of 20,000. They don't care. I thought Io was like that, but then as I read about Io, and I love Io, but Io likes her money. Io he's like, hey, Triple H, you give me main roster money, I'm yours, and never batted an eye and has never looked back, and has been rewarded for it, quite honestly. But there's going to be women who are like Mercedes, who the money is great, the fame is great, being in WWE is great, but they want more. Let's go back to the Toni Storm promo. Got flowers, but want to chase the dream, the bigger dream. And it's going to happen. Who it is, we don't know, but it's going to happen.
And I keep using, so there's two examples, and you just named them. There's two ways that it's going to happen. There's going to be a veteran like Mercedes who wants another flourish in their career, and that could be the argument for Charlotte leaving. That could be the argument for Bayley leaving. And then the Roxanne argument is actually not a Mercedes argument. I keep using Mercedes. That's my fault. The Roxanne argument is the Toni Storm argument. Toni was a young prospect still, got to the main roster, and was like, pie face and a 6-minute match, it's just not for me. I can't call this professional wrestling. That's stupid. People forget Toni wrestled in Stardom. She was doing these epic matches. She loves wrestling. Yeah. And so Mercedes is which veterans are going to shake loose and be like, hey, I want another run on and get the matches I want to have. And then Toni's the argument for which prospects are not going to be able to carve out the spot for themselves that they expected and try to get a run over in AEW. And I think we're going to get some women shaking free from both. Real quickly before we move on to SmackDown, I threw this in our group chat also, and you took the under on all three. And it's something I just want fans to think about. Comment about it, what your opinion is. For the rest of their main roster career, would you take the over-under of 5.5 months? Okay, so under would be 5 months, over would be 6 months. For Becky, Charlotte, and Bayley holding one of the top 2 titles each. And you took the under on all 3. That's not saying they won't win the belt again. I would bet you at least 2 of the 3 of them will win the belt again. But winning the belt and getting half a year carved out for yourself are 2 different things. I would actually almost argue that Charlotte has the best chance of doing it just on the accumulation of how many times they need to get her to 17 or 18 or whatever the number's going to be. But fans really think about, we are entering that new age of there's a whole new core to this roster, and they're not part of it.
No.
And you took the under on all 3, right?
I took the under on all 3, and I feel very confident. I don't think the Charlotte 17 titles is anything anymore. Number one, John Cena has already done it, so it doesn't mean anything anymore. Like,
because she's not beating her dad, she's beating John Cena.
Yeah. So I don't think it means any. In fact, I can almost make the argument she might never win it for that reason, because they want to keep it as John Cena's record, not Charlotte Flair's record, because they want John Cena to be the greatest of all time. And the only way you do that is you have that number.
Do you think they care about her tying her dad?
No, I don't think they care.
I wish
I
they
think
didn't care back in 2016.
I think that's a Vince thing. But you know what? If you read her book, you know who else doesn't care about it? Charlotte Flair.
I
She
know
hates
she
it.
just wanted better book title runs.
So she hates it. So I'm taking the under, and then there's a fourth woman you could throw in there too, which is Alexa Bliss.
Oh,
I'm
under
t-
for sure.
I'm taking the under on all four simply because I look at them all as transitional characters at this point. I think all four of them are there to help the other women move up. Like Alexa Bliss of the four, I will say this, is the only one who doesn't need the belt because that's not her character. Like her character is she's just on screen and she knows how to talk and
Yeah.
she'll get a pop. But back to the other three, Bayley, I will definitely take the under. That one's easy. Becky, I'll take the under. I think she will win another world title, but I don't think she'll have it for more than 6 months. Charlotte, I also agree. Like I think Charlotte can win the world title and it'll be cashed in on. Like I could see that happening to her. I just they there's nothing WWE has told me in the last year that tells me these three women are super important in their overall plans.
And if we're wrong, we're wrong. But if we're right, I've never met Charlotte Flair. I met Bayley for a minute. Very, very nice woman. Very, very cool. But I don't know her at all. But I know her well enough to know that if she's sitting at home on her couch and saying, I'm never going to get another long world title run again, she will start thinking about where she can go perform her art in a meaningful way. I I'm certain that that's important to her still. And it's not the
Mhm.
belt, but it's the programs that come with the belt, right? And now there is an IC title and there is a US title, and maybe those women could be happy with meaningful programs there. I don't know, but I think Charlotte wants to main event. I think Charlotte wants to main event pay-per-views, and I think Charlotte wants to have all-time great matches, main eventing pay-per-views. Still,
Is she capable?
was with Mercedes Moné, I think she is.
Oh, okay, well, okay. I
The
didn't.
electricity that comes with that match elevates it to start.
It just Charlotte is just like we can do a whole podcast on this. I haven't really been that impressed with her comeback in the ring. I'm not talking about her character, her microphone work, her robe color. I'm talking about professional wrestling in the ring. Charlotte, since she returned at the Royal Rumble, has not been good, if
You
we're
know,
being honest.
I'll agree with that, but let me give some context. She's still training all the time. So she's
Mm-hmm.
trying to get back to what she was. She's at Flatbacks with Tyler Breeze all the time. In fact,
Mm-hmm.
I would argue that Charlotte may be the person, and I don't know any better. Charlotte may seems like one of the people that Mariah May knows the best in WWE
Yes,
because they
she
train
does.
together.
Mm-hmm.
Um, not we said this before. Chris Jericho made the comment that he hasn't wrestled not on TV in like 2 decades. Um, it's abnormal for someone to wrestle as much as Mercedes does outside of TV. The training that she puts in. Um, I give props to like Natty's always wrestling. Charlotte's always wrestling lately. So they are, Charlotte is trying to get back to what she was. There are a lot of people on TV who are not wrestling when they're not on TV.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think that tells me she wants to get better, and she herself knows that she's not where she needs to be. But and maybe if she does, leave and go to AEW and stuff, things will be different because she'll get a spotlight and she'll get like put in a different position. But like, other than her stuff with Alexa Bliss, and that's not even a wrestling thing. It's like a story I'm interested in because are they going with Alexa goes back to being Little Miss Bliss, or does Charlotte go to the dark side? Like I'm interested in them as a package. but
Yeah.
I'm not interested in Charlotte as a professional wrestler in 2025 so far.
Yeah.
Like I could be
Yeah.
wrong and she could, wow me, but at her peak, like I'm talking at her peak, which is 2017, she still wouldn't make my top 10 all time. So,
Yeah. I I think the question goes back to the original part of the statement is which women are sitting in the WWE locker room and if they don't feel like they're close to having a title run anytime soon and they don't get to have important 15 to 20-minute matches, you know, again, like Bayley just missed the WrestleMania card. Is she going to make the next one? Is Charlotte going to be on the next WrestleMania? And I don't want anyone listening to read this as like a sexism thing because these men wrestle into their 40s, 50s, and they don't draw, and and they still get paid and they still make the WrestleMania card. I'm not saying it's right. I would book WrestleMania to be 8 women's matches and 2 men's matches if I was the booker, right? So don't hear what I'm not saying. I'm just talking about the reality of the lay of the land and what people still are trying to aspire to. And Mercedes and Toni Storm have proven that that caliber of in-ring performance. And Athena, I know she's not on AEW, but she's had this great title run with a lot of great matches on ROH. If getting to wrestle important matches that don't get cut for time is important to you, there's going to be that pull that way at some point.
okay, yeah, no,
Tony's got money to spend too.
Tony has money to spend, and he clearly has more money to spend because both Stephanie Vaquer and Mariah May turned down what is reported as generous offers. So, yeah, I mean, Tony has the money to spend, and just reading a lot of Charlotte Flair interviews, she seems to be a person who probably is paying attention to what Mercedes is doing and saying, you know what, I'd like some of that action. Like, I just want to wrestle. So, I would love to see it. I've always advocated that Charlotte, Bayley, and a couple others should go to AEW to even not make WWE so top heavy. They're very top heavy right now. And, it's something that, like you said, the challenge is getting all the women TV time, and the challenge is getting them, storylines that are meaningful and matches that are meaningful. Like it's not easy because they also have a men's roster that is full of men who make a lot of money who want their TV time. So
and that's the reality I'm talking about is like they'll only move so much time to the women, right? Because of what the payroll looks like.
Historically, that's how it's always been. So before we get to the Mercedes segment that I've always wanted to do since we started this podcast, but we're going to get to SmackDown and our Money in the Bank predictions. So there's one specific segment on SmackDown I want to talk about, which is Bianca Belair opened the show in your home state of Tennessee, but her home city of Knoxville. Yep. She came out in the volunteer orange. What is the color called? Is it volunteer orange? What is it called?
I think it's volunteer orange. Okay. Believe it or not, there are more Alabama fans in Nashville than there are Tennessee fans.
I've heard that.
Yeah.
So she comes to the ring, gets a monster reaction, monster pop. Probably a good thing for me as a Bianca fan to see a crowd just not boo her and see a crowd cheer for her. And that was awesome. She comes to the ring. They're chanting EST. They did they followed her through gorilla position. It was tremendous. She sang Rocky Top, which I thought for sure somebody was interrupting when she did it as the perfect heel thing, but they didn't. They let her sing the whole thing.
Right.
And Naomi comes out. And, Naomi and Bianca, let me tell you something. We spent a whole episode talking about the money that we think Mercedes and Toni Storm is. The same money I feel is in Bianca and Naomi. I think this is a main event storyline. And Naomi comes out, and she does the Naomi, which is, Bianca, you haven't called me back. I've been texting you. I've been calling you today. When I landed, I wanted to see you. So I went to your parents' house but you weren't there. So I let myself in. And and then you see Bianca did an amazing job of her face right at that moment. She's like,
Yeah.
I saw these pictures on your mama's coffee table and it showed how happy you were. And it reminded me of when we were tag team champions. And Bianca's like, wait, what did you do? You did what? And then it went to, Bianca said, if you ever go near my family again, what Jade did, what Jade did to you, what you did to Jade will feel like nothing. And Naomi starts to cry. And Naomi is amazing at this. She cries
Yeah.
and then she can just snap out of it. And she goes, Bianca, I would hate for you and your mom, because Bianca's mom is in a wheelchair. And she goes, I would hate for you and your mom to be in wheelchairs together. I would hate for what's going to happen
Crazy
to you.
line.
And I was like,
Crazy line.
wow.
Crazy
And
line.
so I was just like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then Jade's music hits, Jade comes out. Now, Jade and Bianca have something going on too, where you don't know if do they like each other? Are they mad at each other? They stare at each other. I don't know. There's something else that's there. But Naomi and Bianca are magic. They have had two segments like this. Both have been two of the best segments I've seen on WWE TV this year. The first one was all time, all time. This one is all time, all time. Like these two women are phenomenal. They're fantastic. They play off each other so well.
Naomi's killing it in this role. Yeah.
Naomi is phenomenal. And I had a moment of weakness on Twitter when Stephanie got nominated to go to Raw. I said, Stephanie has to win Money in the Bank because Stephanie should win everything. I'll take that back. Naomi, as we predicted a long time ago, should win Money in the Bank. She should win Money in the Bank. She absolutely has to be a menace because nothing says proceed with caution more than the Money in the Bank champion. And honestly, what I loved about Naomi on SmackDown is she got in Tiffany's face too. And I was like, oh, Tiffany, you got to give up the belt. She needs the title because,
Yeah.
I love Tiffany, but Naomi is awesome. And honestly, the segment was awesome. So go ahead. What did you think?
I I'm so impressed with the acting ability of both of them. The previous segment and this one. Obviously, kayfabe's a little bit dead, and we know that these women see each other outside of the TV show, which doesn't bother me at all.
Yes. So
Yeah, yeah.
maybe on a
But
boat.
maybe on a boat celebrating, the boat's birthday. They were celebrating the boat's birthday on a boat. But some of the best stuff comes from that. You know, Bayley and Sasha feuded, and they were pretty good about stopping pictures together, but they would get caught where we knew they were in the same place. Liv and Rhea still get caught all the time being in the same place, even though they try to hide it. Here's why I don't mind it at all. Bianca Naomi, you don't get to say the wheelchair line unless you're feuding with someone who you see as a sister. Like
Yeah.
like Bianca's not clearing the wheelchair line with Alexa Bliss. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying her and Alexa don't get along. I'm saying is like you only clear that line for your favorite person on the roster that you work with. You know what I mean? Like
Hello?
that
Are
line
you
is
there?
dastardly. Yeah, I'm here.
You froze on me.
You froze on me.
You
There we
froze.
go. We back.
Yeah.
Apologies, everyone. You only clear that line with your best friend on the roster. That's a dastardly line with her mom in the crowd too. So I love what they're doing. Naomi has to win Money in the Bank. I think she'll get cheered when she wins it because she deserves it. But
Mhm.
she'll be one of the better heels with that briefcase in quite a while. Um, and yeah, I think she's going to terrorize everyone with it. That's the exact
Mhm.
right word. I mean, I think she's just going to be. I think she'll be in Zelina's business. I think she'll like she probably would say to the Zelina, I don't even want your belt, but you better proceed with caution around me because you just might look at me crazy and I'm going to hit you with this briefcase and take your belt. Like, I just think she's got a whole lot of stuff she can mine with that. Um,
Honest, honestly, I would do so much with Naomi in that character. I would have her show up on TNA.
yeah,
I would just have her show up on TNA randomly, just like, hey, I have the briefcase. I could cash in. I think to me, Naomi's the perfect character for the briefcase. Like the briefcase was meant to go to a super heel, not
right.
a tweener, not even a baby face. Naomi should win. I think, Naomi needs a marquee win in her career in WWE. I know she's been the world champion a couple of times and she's beaten Alexa Bliss on a pay-per-view and got You Deserve It chance and all that. But I mean, she needs a marquee win, like in a marquee match with multiple top women. She needs to win it, and she is the only person to win this. So it's Alexa Bliss, Roxanne, Naomi. We assume Stephanie Vaquer, but maybe it's Liv, Julia,
And Rhea.
Rhea. Okay, if
This
you
is the
win,
first match Rhea's been in a long time that I'm like, yeah, she ain't winning. I mean,
this to me is the perfect match for Naomi to win because I want to see the company tell us that Naomi is on the level of Rhea and Stephanie.
hey,
And
are we?
and
Go ahead.
no, good.
Did we miss something? So we're talking about EO, and you want EO to have the belt longer, but also lose it to Stephanie. Um, do they go crazy and do Rhea and Stephanie X each other out in this Money in the Bank match and have a little feud themselves?
I think Rhea and Stephanie, if they play their cards right, could main event WrestleMania. I said that last week. I say it this week. I think the
Yeah,
Dark Angel against Mommy is they could print money. They could take
yeah,
my money. I mean, that is like a dream feud. And I mean, I hate to say it, but like, I don't like. How do you even book that feud? Like, how do you book it? Like, who wins that feud? Like, I guess you would say on paper it should be Rhea, but I don't know. Like, I've said that before with Rhea, and she's lost. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like those two women have such aura and magnetism that if they did it correctly, man, like, yeah, at Money in the Bank, that's a teaser. They should clear the ring and have those two face off and see what the crowd. I think this is what I think is going to happen at Money in the Bank. They're going to test all these things.
yeah,
They're going to put
and see what has
Stephanie
the
in,
most juice.
Stephanie Julia. Okay, let's see what that does. Stephanie Roxanne Rhea, Alexa. Like, think of. I know you would hate this, but think of Dark Angel against Alexa Bliss's Wyatt character, right?
Yeah,
Like, you could do so many different things, but I just think that Naomi is the only, like, to me, when I look at this match, I don't even know how anybody else could win this match but Naomi. Now that she's
yeah,
in the match and qualified, I don't know who else it could be.
yeah. I would be supremely disappointed if she lost. Yeah, no, you're right. They're gonna put the two of them in the ring, and the crowd's gonna go crazy. By the way, I know Stephanie's not afraid of bumps, so that's gonna help. But Roxanne is gonna need some leave the next day.
Yeah, right.
Looking at this group, um, I'm not gonna pick on Alexa, but she does have a track record in Money in the Bank matches, and the track record is it's hard to find her until she wins. Um, and Rhea takes bumps, but I don't see Rhea falling off the top of a ladder. That's for sure. Julia's crazy, but I think Roxanne being the heel and being such a great seller and bumper, I think she's in for a spot or two that's gonna make some people wince.
I think this is going to be I'm going to go on record here. This is going to be the best women's Money in the Bank match of all time. That's my prediction.
2018 is the current best one
Yes.
by far.
2018 is by far the best one, no question. Besides the winner, it was the best one. Like
Yeah,
they no, let me take it back. They got the right winner. Clearly by the crowd reaction, they got the right winner.
they
But
just
the
needed the
winner,
winner to do a couple more things
yeah, the
during the
winner,
match.
the winner won in the most heel manner, which is do nothing and then win at the end. I think this is going to be one of the all-time great matches. I think all the women are going to bring it, and I'm gonna say Alexa Bliss is going to bump more in this match than she did in the last one, which is meaning if she takes 2 bumps, she's already exceeded the quota. But
Did she
yeah,
take
I
any
think this is going to
ladder
be an
bumps?
all-timer. I think we're going to get a classic. So I think we're both on record for our money. So we both have the same Money in the Bank prediction. Naomi is going to
Yep.
win. I will give you my IC title prediction very quickly here. I think Lyra will retain, as the returning Bayley will cost Becky the match.
No reason for me not to agree with that. It'd be a weird story if Becky just beats her on the second one. I also don't see them having Becky lose again clean. Not that, as a heel, she can't lose again clean, but it just wouldn't progress the story. So Bayley's got to be coming back and costing Becky. And then we are absolutely getting Bayley Becky at Evolution.
Yeah.
To me, that's the most assured match we're going to see at Evolution.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Probably
And
maybe Liv Roxanne happens quickly too, but that one for sure.
and there's another women's match that day from WWE, which is Stephanie Vaquer and Lola Vice, aka the Dream. This is the Dream Team. Like, we talk about the '92 Olympics. No, nobody cares. This is the Dream Team. Stephanie Vaquer and Lola Vice. They fight the two women from AAA, and I think they're going to win pretty comfortably. That's
Yep.
obvious, and that's an
Yep.
easy prediction.
Yep. Totally agree. All right, so see how we do on those predictions. I think we covered, the news of the day. We'll probably expand on our thoughts about Mariah May on future episodes as we start to see. I think once we see what happens with Money in the Bank and whatnot, um, and talk more about what she's great at and how she does fit. We kind of talked about just how top heavy the roster was and all that. It's still so hard to figure, okay, if she goes NXT, that's one thing. If she goes main roster, that's one thing. So lots more Mariah May content to come, especially when she lands wherever she does land. So to finish us out for the day, you kind of teased it. Mercedes Moné / Sasha Banks on the mic. It is a hot topic that goes way back to, I think, probably her 2016 run. Um,
Mhm.
with Charlotte was where there first started to be some maybe more mixed reviews on it, and some people feel all the way one way, some people feel all the way the other way. Because there's no room for gray areas in wrestling. It's right, everything is so extreme. But you wanted to talk about, after this great segment she had with Toni, just your assessment of her mic skills. So I'll give you the floor to
Well,
start.
yeah. So where this comes from is after that segment, which we were in the building for, and we both walked away saying, "Oh my God, both women killed it. They held their own." And I actually thought Mercedes had an amazing promo segment with Jamie Hayter when she was in the ring,
One of
and
my favorites ever.
she
Yeah.
was great, right? So I'm thinking, okay, I know he has a rabid fan base who supports her for everything, which is good. You need those folks, as you say, the 10 NPS scores. And she has a lot of haters who don't like her. So I went into Reddit, I went into message boards because we attended this thing live. So I wanted to get what other people's reaction was because I was there, you were there, we know what it was. And I was shocked at how many people in whether it's YouTube, Reddit, X, Instagram were commenting on how bad Mercedes was on the mic. Like they were like, "Oh, Toni had to carry her. Toni fed her lines. She stinks. She doesn't, speak proper English." Like they had a bunch of stuff, and some of it I think is racially motivated. I think some of it is comes from from a hateful place, and it's not
Yeah.
constructive criticism. But I guess what I couldn't understand about this is I would agree she's had a lot of weak promo segments in her career. But I've also said that when she is given when she's given material that she loves, material she believes in, stories she believes in, and has passion for, she's an effective promo, which means she tells the story to get you to want to see the match, to see either her win or her lose, because that's what
Yep.
an effective promo is. But I just could not believe the hatred and vitriol that was spit towards her after, in my opinion, if you were to rank her top 5 promo segments ever, these are probably the 2 best. Like the Jamie Hayter one going into the Toni Storm one, I could make a case she doesn't have 2 better ones than that ever. That
I
might
think
be the best too.
the Jamie Hayter promo was the best new age wrestling promo of her career. And I'm going to explain what I mean by new age, and I'm going to explain what I mean about traditional. A lot of the hate is racially motivated. Also, a lot of the hate is from wrestling fans today wanting something different from promos than what promos were designed for. Promos were designed to sell the match and to get the babyface over. We've talked about it a lot. One of the biggest reasons I was never a fan of Alexa during the 2017 run is I don't think the heel should make the babyface look like an idiot, because then what's the win really get you for the heel? So wrestling community nowadays, a lot of people like the one-liners and the slams. They like, oh, they want to be like, oh, she burned you or whatever. And like, Mercedes is always as a heel trying to get the babyface over. She's even promoing against people who we know they've got no shot to beat her, and she's gonna throw in a line about, Julia Hart, you may be an up and comer. Like, there's always a compliment hidden in the promo. That's old school. That's Dusty Rhodes. If Dusty Rhodes taught you to promo, that's in your DNA. The heel has to find a way to compliment the baby face, and that's kind of her traditional thing. The Jamie Hayter one was a little bit more new age. She spoke long. She normally doesn't do. I think she spoke like 3 minutes uninterrupted. The lines were powerful. She put herself over. She put Jamie over. She did dig at her once or twice, but ultimately put her over as a competitor and said, "You're one of the best, but I'm on another level." It was my favorite promo of hers. The only one that maybe, I love the Bayley promo. My name is bigger than your title, I think is a classic. I think she does great at the in-ring kind of championship signing promos. But this idea that Toni carried her, I would actually argue similarly to what we said for Bianca and Naomi. I could tell listening that Toni and Mercedes were working on this promo together.
Mhm.
I think Toni said some lines that if you follow Mercedes, the Monet Mag, if you're a subscriber, if you know the way Mercedes talks about wrestling in her dreams, I would argue that one or two of Toni's lines were influenced by Mercedes. And that's fine, because Mercedes is the heel. She shouldn't be saying the inspirational line.
Mhm.
But I'm not saying she told Toni to say it. I'm saying that they're working on this together, and that they are both, who Toni gets to be in this feud is who they both are. They want to inspire that next generation of women's wrestling. But Toni gets to be the face of that because she's the face.
Yeah. I I don't think anybody will ever mistake Mercedes Monet's microphone skills with Roddy Piper or CM Punk or Ric Flair or Dusty Rhodes or The Rock or Macho Man or Jerry Lawler. She's not that. She's never
She's like
going
Bret
to
Hart.
be
Bret
the
Hart was a
she
good enough promo.
good enough. Yes, good enough, effective promo. Um, you know, I it's all about the material you give the person.
Yeah.
Very few people are good enough where they can just talk about anything and it works. Like Alexa Bliss, to give her credit here, I went back and I watched that This Is Your Life segment, the one
Oh,
for Bayley. But man, she delivered that stuff well. Like it was bad. Like I'm not saying that it was a good segment. I'm saying like she knows how to talk. That's
yeah.
that's her gift. I think Mercedes in the Jamie Hayter promo, in the Timeless Tony Storm promo, quite honestly, I really enjoyed the stuff she did with Carmella. Like I
Oh,
thought I thought the stuff she did with Carmella was really, really good, whether it was the backstage stuff, the stuff in the ring. I thought that the both women were awesome. I thought the stuff she did with Bayley, John Morrison on Talking Smack was tremendous. Yeah, my belt is bigger than your title was great. I thought she was great against Bianca leading up to SummerSlam, and we know what happened there. I think that you actually said it. Wrestling fans of this era want a promo to be
a pipe
like
bomb.
like it's like in basketball where somebody gets dunked on, but it's like, okay, everybody is going to get dunked on because that's people who play defense know that you're going to get dunked on. Or when like James Harden will do his travel crossover and the guy will fall over. Everybody wants a promo battle to be, oh, she got you. Oh, it's a burn. And it's not supposed to be that. It's supposed
Right.
to be two competitors talking to each other to get you to buy a ticket to see them wrestle. That's an effective promo. And like I said, anytime Mercedes has been given material that is credible and it doesn't make her look like a goof and she's passionate about it, she's very effective at getting me or others or you to want to buy a ticket to see the match. And like, I was going to probably buy the match with her and Jamie because I do try to buy all of her matches. But I was like, I don't know. But then I knew we were going to go to the show after. So I'm like, okay, I got to see the show leading up to it. But when she cut that promo in the ring with Jamie, I was like, oh, this has a big money match feel to it. Like she made
You
me
got excited
believe.
about buying it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So to me, that's what a promo is supposed to be. It's supposed to promotion for the match. It's not supposed to be like a high school. It's not supposed to be like a rap battle. It's
Yeah.
supposed to be a vehicle to get you to want to buy the match.
So I have a hot take, and your Carmella comment actually connected all this for me. I think there's evidence that she's fully leveled up as a promo and will be a very good promo for the most part going forward. And here's my evidence. Bayley, all those promos were good. She did backstage, the in the ring, that was the point of view of her character came across very well through all those promos. Carmella, very good promos. Bianca, they were given some bad material, but delivery and everything, there was a couple good things in there. But they made that wishy-washy with it was face for a minute, and then it was kind of heel. But then you fast forward to the summer where her and Bianca feuded, and she was clearly the heel. She had some of her best promo work during that summer. She
She
was
was good,
fantastic.
really good.
So then she gets into the Charlotte and Becky thing, and she had some good promos there. And then they relegate her back to kind of this tag division, and I don't think she promoted that much, honestly. NJPW, the Mayu stuff is incredible. You love it.
I do. I thought it was some of her best work ever.
Okay. She gave a couple good promos leading up to the resurgence before she got hurt. She comes back, gives a babyface promo at Big Business that was really good for what it had to be, right? Britt Baker promo stuff was good. The Willow promo stuff was fine. Nothing stands out. That again was kind of like the Bianca thing where it's like, is she a good guy? Is she a bad guy? But like she had some good stuff in there. The Britt Baker stuff was good. Since Britt, they almost purposefully spent 9 months with her character spamming the same 5 lines for 40 seconds anytime she talked. Like, on purpose. Even Mercedes fans were like, geez, it's the same 5 lines. And then they got to the Owen tournament, and they've started layering in where, I mean, the Jamie stuff that was an A+ promo. That wasn't a good promo. That was an A+ promo. The backstage piece of it and the in-stage piece of it. Were they kind of just biding their time and just letting her be that character and making her thin on purpose? I don't know. I'm asking the question. I think we'll find out based on how well she does with Toni. But it's not like she was ever put out there for 2 minutes and couldn't talk. They just didn't put her out there for 2 or 3 minutes. They had her interrupted every time or whatever.
So to top off your hot take, I have a hotter take, and this is probably not going to win me brownie points with the crew. I think she's really good when she has someone else to bounce off of in the ring. I don't like her as a promo when she's in the ring by herself, quite honestly. I don't. Yeah. I think she's had a couple of good moments, like the one with Bianca was good, where she had like the leather outfit with the chains, and I thought she was really good. You know, Bianca, you take credit for the SBI made you. I thought that was good. I mean, the big business promo, I got to be honest, as somebody who's followed her whole career, I've heard that promo on 97 interviews. Yes, you know, you lived in a hotel. I'm not saying these are not storyline points.
It's a new audience.
Is it? Because how many AEW fans don't know who Sasha Banks is?
Right, but she was treating the AEW audience at home to this is who I am.
Yeah, no, and this is why I'm here. I get that. And so, like, for me, I thought the big business promo was good from the standpoint of she was very powerful with her message. She was very passionate with her message. I thought that was good. And the crowd ate it up. But, like, I've always said this, and I'm being very consistent here. I don't want to hear about the 10-year-old girl anymore who likes Eddie Guerrero. I'm past that. I like the legacy stuff she's doing right now because it's different. Like, I want to hear about that. I think she has, you know, I think she has one of the all-time worst fake retirement segments, if I'm being honest. Like that, I cannot even watch that promo anymore because it's like, I'll never forget watching that and just saying, why did they put her out there to do this? Like, what were they thinking? Like, this is so, yeah. But let's get to the here and the now. What I really like her when she bounces it off somebody else. What you just listed, every single example, she's with somebody. And we forgot about another set of promos that I thought she was amazing in, and we didn't even talk about it. All the stuff she's ever done with Harley has been A+. All of the stuff with Harley. So I think where Mercedes is at her best, just like in the ring, she's really good of bouncing stuff off of somebody. So like whether it's Britt, Jamie, Toni, Harley, Bianca, Becky, you know, we forget she had some amazing promo battles with Becky. You know, in 2019 when she came back, I thought she got Becky a couple of times there. I love the stuff she did with Becky. And
she took Becky down at several
times. Yeah. So I think when she has a person across from her in the ring or at a table, he's tremendous. But I think where she gets in trouble is when they give her monologues for 6 minutes by herself. I think she kind of gets in trouble there, my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree with that, but I also don't want to hear anyone talk for 6 minutes for the most part. They have Seth Rollins out there giving 6-minute promos all the time, and I almost always change the channel, and I have for a long time. They let Seth Rollins talk like he's CM Punk, and he's not bad, but I'm never interested enough to stay tuned in, except for when he's talking about Roman Reigns, and that's usually because of the Shield history. But generally, when he's going on and ranting about what he does, there's very few people I want to hear talk for 6 minutes unless they're promo. I loved what Seth Rollins did with CM Punk and they're back and forth. But when Seth's in there by himself, they let him talk way too much.
So you don't want anybody to have a monologue.
for the most part. What's funny is your favorite promo of her, she might as well have been by herself, and that was the Mayu one, because Mayu didn't give her much in return. And I'm not even talking about the language barrier. Mayu, even
Uh,
when they translated, Mayu was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna win the belt." Like it
but
was like,
you know what's so good about that one? Okay, and I know we're wrapping up here, but here's
yeah,
why I love the Mayu one so much. I'll tell you why. And it's because I am such a fan of both women. But see, every Mercedes promo battle that is seen as good, Britt, Toni, Jamie, Becky, Bayley, Bianca, the other person always gets the credit, and Mercedes doesn't get the credit. But with
right,
Mayu, you couldn't do that. You
yeah,
cannot give somebody who actually says nothing the credit. You
right,
can't. You have to give it to Mercedes. So why I love the Mayu stuff is Mercedes had to carry it, and she did a damn good job. And the Carmelo one is really good too. So as we wrap here, um, want to tell everybody the numbers are growing. Thank you very much. I want to talk about 3 contests that are coming up very soon. We will be giving away an AEW gift bag. So when we attended Dynamite, we got this pouch that has a bunch of goodies in it. We are going to give that away. It'll be mine. Number 2, we are going to give away a Travis Scott Wrestling is Real t-shirt. And number 3, we are going to give away a Born and Raised Eddie Guerrero Latino Heat t-shirt. Now, the t-shirts are sold out everywhere, and the resale value on the t-shirts is double what I got them for. So anywhere from $150 to $200 for a wrestling t-shirt. Go figure. And so we're going to be giving this away, but it's going to be all of our subscribers on Spotify or YouTube have to get us one more subscriber. So you're going to have to you're a subscriber, you're going to have to tell a friend, and they're going to have to tag in the contest. And that's how we're going to identify the winner, because we need to grow our subscriber base, and we're growing it, but we want you to help us help you. So if you want to win these prizes, we need you to get the word out about the best wrestling podcast about women's wrestling on planet Earth, The Balance Sheet. So that is coming in the next month. Well, please, get the word out, get the subscriptions up, YouTube, Spotify. Those are the places we really want you to subscribe.
yep,
And we want to continue to provide you with more content like what we did last week. We have videos from the Dynamite show coming to our page. We have other exclusive segments we're going to do, which you guys seem to really like. Thank you so much for supporting us. We love doing this for you. We want to continue to grow.
yep. Great promo, my friend. And no, I can't say it any better myself. Appreciate anyone who continues to listen. Subscribe on both YouTube and Spotify. And we're going to keep this going. We're at a year,
Yep.
past a year, and no signs of slowing down. So thank you, everybody.